Hi, it's me again, and I'm not quite sure why an ex-boss of the BBC is now getting involved in the you're retired, mate, wind your neck in. But let's have a look at what he's got to say, because Greg Dyke was a former Director General for 4 years, it says here. And he's got something to say about the licence fee that I thought we could have a look at together, and obviously I'll kick off probably at some point. Let's have a look. Free TV licence for those on benefits and make wealthy pay more, says ex-BBC boss. Much like the free TV licence that the government and the BBC promised for everyone over the age of 75. That went well. That went well, didn't it? Now all the old people are having to pay for a TV licence unless they get pension credit, of course. So I don't believe anything that anyone from the BBC says, full stop, and especially not when it comes to the licence fee, because how they're getting away with it, I have no idea. Right, let's see what Greg's got to say. The former Director General has joined former senior BBC figures who have argued that the mandatory flat rate charge is an unfair tax and must be reformed. Couldn't agree more. It's a very unfair tax. You have to pay the BBC in order to watch other channels who don't get any of the money, but you can't watch them unless you pay the BBC what's soon to be over 169 quid a year. Yeah, that is unfair. The government have called it a tax, as we found out last week in a newspaper article by former Culture and Media Secretary Nadine Dorries. She said the government referred to the licence fee as a tax, so it is a tax now, and flat rating it is unfair. But having it full stop is more unfair. The fact that this thing exists in this day and age of subscriptions and everyone being so used to seeing commercials all the time. How is this even a thing still? Mr. Dyke said the licence fee should remain. Funny how a former BBC Director General thinks the licence fee should remain. That'll help you with your pension, won't it, if they're still paying licence fees? But it should be means tested to reduce the burden on lower income households. I'm not sure what Mr. Dyke knows about lower income households. Probably not a lot. Probably not as much as you or I. And yeah, okay, lower income households under his reform here may not have to pay so much TV licence fee. But why is anybody paying to support a broadcaster? He told the Eye that wealthier people would need to pay more under his proposal to avoid the BBC facing a black hole of up to £1 billion in its public funding by giving free TV licence to people on benefits. Well, at the moment, people on benefits don't get a free TV licence, and the BBC has a black hole, in his words, of £300 million a year currently. So the way they get the fee at the moment, they absolutely fail to manage that amount of money. So what is changing it going to achieve? They're just going to fail to manage the money even more. And people earning a fair wage, not the people at the bottom, the people in the middle are going to be the people that feel it the most. The people at the top, if it's 500 quid a year, doesn't bother them, does it? But the people in the middle who have got to pay a lot more now, that's going to bother them, isn't it? And there's more people in the middle than there is at the top and the bottom. There are a lot of people like me who can easily afford to pay. It seemed to work quite well, so you could just apply the same logic to all people on benefits. Why should we have to pay? Why have these people got it stuck in their head that the BBC must be protected and paid for by a tax? Why? Why is this a thing? Why is literally none of these people saying the BBC can go commercial and cover their own arses like all the other TV channels have to do? What makes the BBC so special that it has to be protected in a little bubble of funding that can't be taken away and is a tax on every household in the country, and if they get their way, every person in the country, not just household? Why? Richard Sharp, the former BBC chair, and he didn't get his job by having friends in high places. He was perfectly qualified for that position. Anyway, he's previously said that wealthier people could pay more to access BBC services. Why should they have to? The regressive licence fee system, and it is regressive, could be replaced by a tax on broadband bills, which is what they want. This is what the BBC want a tax on your broadband bill or chuck it on your council tax, something like that. So then it's not paid necessarily by household. It could very well be paid per person. Because if you haven't got broadband, you haven't got a mobile phone, it'll go on that. 3 mobile phones in the house, bosh, done. Or they want it as like some media tax that will come out of your payslip. Now, everyone who works, there you go. Why? Why complicate it? Why cause all this aggravation? Why tax the people more when you could just say, BBC show ads? That's your problem. The licence fee has always been an unfair tax whereby the poorest in the land pay the same as the richest. It's an unfair tax because you're making us pay the BBC in order to watch other channels. That's why it's an unfair fucking tax, Richard Sharp. What's wrong with you, mate? So I'm just reading ahead, and Mr. Dyke has got some quotes from his book here. And it says, and I quote, "To charge people for the right to have television receiving equipment in their home is not only unfair, it's anachronistic," whatever that means. "Why not charge them for an extra tax for having a washing machine or a fridge?" So, Mr. Dyke, you understand what it is we're trying to say. Why, and first of all, for someone who worked at the BBC, you should know your rules a bit better because you don't have to pay the tax for having receiving equipment in your home. My home's full of equipment that can receive television. I still don't need to pay it. It's what you use that equipment for. So you should know your own rules anyway, being a BBC person, probably claiming the pension. But you make the same point I make. You make the exact point. Why not charge them extra having a washing machine? Exactly. So scrap this fucking tax off. So how can you be in there saying poor people get it for free, rich people should pay more, and then in the same fucking article, to charge people for the right for having television receiving equipment in their home is not only unfair, it's anachronistic, whatever that means. Let's have a look. Belonging to a period other than that being portrayed. Thank you! An old-fashioned nonsense tax. It's as much nonsense as this fucking article is. A BBC spokesperson said, "We welcome the debate on whether the licence fee needs to evolve for the future so that the BBC can continue to thrive and deliver for audiences in the UK around the world." Why is it our business as the taxpayers of the UK that the BBC should thrive? Why? Why? I couldn't give a toss if the BBC thrives or not. What I care about is 159 quid, soon to be 169 quid a year. I don't care if the BBC thrive or not. I could not give a shit. The same as I couldn't care if Channel 4 or ITV or Discovery Channel or whatever thrive. If they make bad decisions, bad commercial decisions, don't make enough money, and they go tits up, I don't care. I'll watch something else. Why can't the BBC be funded in that manner? Why are they having to be held above it that we have to pay them directly? Because they're so special, aren't they, at the BBC? The government has long been concerned about the fairness and sustainability of the licence fee in a rapidly changing media landscape. So scrap it off then. As the terms of the reference made clear, we'll be looking at a range of funding models for funding the BBC. Never once in these debates have I seen the BBC should go commercial. Sometimes they talk about going subscription. It'd be tricky for them to do that. But they could go commercial within a year. They could. Don't forget, the BBC own 100% of UK TV, Dave Gold and all that, and they show adverts all over BBC shows. Most BBC shows are made by BBC Studios and they're syndicated around the world, so they're designed to have ad breaks in them. So it wouldn't be a big deal. Why is the BBC held up on a pedestal as special? Because they're not. The only thing they're special in is in lying and covering stuff up. If you look at it from that way, they're quite special. Well, that effectively wound me up. That's good. What do you think about this? Let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments below. Way down there, leaving your comment, hit all the buttons and everything as well. So if you do that, hopefully I'll get to see you in another video again soon, won't I? Ta-da!